James. Okay. Oh yeah, there. Yeah, go ahead, enter the contest. Ryan has it fixed anyway. So, but enter it. You know, it's like the Irish sweepstakes. My aunt always thought she was going to win, and I thought that was going to take us out of lower middle class upbringing, but it
I
didn't.
always check the timestamps, Dale. Don't worry about that.
Do you remember the Irish sweepstake? It was probably bigger
Yeah,
in Europe. They
yeah,
still
yeah,
have them, right?
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. Very big.
So is Guinness like the second prize if you don't win the money? I
A,
figured you
me
know that. Huh?
a meal and a
Uh,
drink in one glass.
all right, okay, let's get serious now. Ryan, what are you looking for the number today? What was your entry? You don't want to give your number away until the contest closes?
No, it doesn't matter because I can't win a prize because I run the competition anyway. But
Uh,
I've gone for two numbers: 176 if on a normal, but if there's any weather, wildfire related stuff, I'm going for 87.
oh yeah. Okay. All right. So um Euro trying to pull back a little bit here. I I would look at, because we overshot the 61.8 gap that actually went below 78.6, and I thought 103 was going to be a good level to buy it before we came in Monday like this.
Yeah,
I'm interested in that area. Say we get this is like an A and a B and a C down to around the 103 level, which would probably be some type of fib retracement of the rally out of the hole.
yeah.
That I'm thinking about that. I really don't know what to. Is this a bottom, a higher low in euro pound, or is this just a bounce of a new downtrend? Um, what do you think?
Yeah,
I'm kind of
I,
thinking it might be a higher low, and we're going to go again.
yeah, I think it could head lower.
Lower. Okay.
that rally early in the year was obviously on UK economic weakness, worries about the budget and whatnot, and then we came down as those eased, and then tariffs on the EU, and then we got a bounce into the BOE, and that's
Yeah.
been sold pretty quickly.
Okay.
So yeah, I won't rule out another move lower. Whether it can get all the way down to 82 or not, that's another question.
Okay. And the yen was way overdue for a bounce. The only way I could think about getting on board, and you sold it after the breakdown. You probably made some pips on it, huh?
No, I didn't sell it. No,
Oh, I thought
unfortunately,
you did.
I tried to
If
buy
we,
it.
you
Not
tried to
not in
buy,
this move. I tried to buy it off of 152 the other day, and
okay, yeah.
that happened overnight. But we've got this Trump Ishiba meeting later on today, so that's
Oh,
probably been the reason why we've come lower. Also, data out of Japan has been strong to end the year, so that's got the rate expectations rising a bit. Yeah, so that meeting later on could be a big mover for yen pairs.
okay. Well, I don't know what they're going to say in the meeting, but I would certainly welcome a rally to, it's almost 200 pips from here. I'm not going to buy it because I'd like to sell it here. That's something else. I've taught this before. I used to do this. I would say, it's going to be a great sale at 53.90. So why should I watch it go up there without me? Because that's not the trade. Because there's no guarantee the trade is selling it there.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean it's going to go there. We could get continuation moves. Don't do that, and don't do that.
yeah.
I know that
Well,
there's people out there. Have you ever done that? Say, well, you know, why shouldn't I just get long if I want to be a seller up there?
yeah, because it's the what if it doesn't go up there, and then
Yeah,
you pull
that's
your
it.
pants down. So
Yeah.
wait for your level, and I've got to. I did sell it up there. Sorry, I forgot. I did sell it up there one as we broke 153, but I cut it for like 2 pips going into the ISM
Mm,
because it wasn't doing anything. So
hmm
I was flat, missed the whole move down. But yeah, you've got to
Okay.
wait now for your levels.
Yeah.
152, we're turning around a bit. up here,
Yeah,
and I think 153 is obviously going to be a bit of a level. But if you get 153.90, 154, and it holds,
yeah.
that's your right place to short.
Okay, because the Dixie to me looks like we're going to get, high or low here that we might get a rally back to, 108, maybe 108.50. But I'm selling dollar strength if we have a strong number. Maybe not today, but early next week. But maybe I'd put a piece on there. Um, Aussie holding up the best, even looks a little stronger than cable. Even, cable and euro, they both came off of their highs sideways in Aussie. Um, Went from the being the weak sister to acting the best in a week after this pin
Yeah.
bar that Blake called while it was happening live. So,
If you
uh,
pull that chart out a bit, though, zoom out a bit, you can still see that this bounce is still pretty weak in the wider trend.
yeah. Well, simple retry. I'd buy it halfway back and give it
Mm.
a shot. Risk the lows. That's 62-ish, right?
Yeah, 62,
Uh,
61, 70-ish. Yeah.
yeah, and risk this low. Um, let's get K-Man involved. So K,
I did. I.
silver. How are you, buddy? So silver, may have another high left in it, but
Mm,
when I looked at this, I had two trades in metals. I was a day early in gold, but pretty
uh,
much on time for silver when we were diverging here. We could make a new high, but it, it also could be topping out in here.
yeah,
What do you
31,
think?
60, 80, 32 and a half. Those are your two levels going into today. Um, and we held on both sides so far. Excuse me.
Yeah,
I don't see too much of a reason right now to pick a clear side.
yeah,
I still have my long-term positions, but it's no, for me there's not too much to do here. I'm You know what? In current context where tariffs are getting watered down, I have a hard time to see how it could get back down to you were talking about a 28, 29. There must be something changing in the market for it to go down there now. I think we could range for a bit. But if tariffs are not as bad as the worst feared, I think we may find earlier levels, to try and pick them up, maybe 31, 30 and a half or so. And you were moving on to gold. There was some news this morning that the Chinese are promoting investments in gold, also that they have been buying gold for their reserves for the third straight month. It's holding up gold right now. But I think we are in a bit of a, how shall I say, a $50 range right now, 28.80, 28.30s.
yeah,
If we break to the top side on a very weak number today, 29, 15, 20, I've got a relatively decent potential target zone that could be visited. If we in turn have like very strong numbers, the whole picture for me doesn't change for as long as we are now above 27.90, 28.
yeah.
If we get down below 28, then I think there may be more correction coming. But for as long as we're up here, I just can't sell it. I mean,
Do you do you know offhand what the DSI is? Did we get to 90 in gold?
I'm sorry, sir.
The DSI, the sentiment, did we
I
get
don't
to
I don't
90?
think we did, Dale. I think
Yeah.
I'll look last night.
Yeah,
I think it was like 81.
I'm
Okay.
browsing
So,
through the updates. Gold.
77, 81,
oh,
84 is the top we got
okay.
earlier this week.
How
Mm,
about silver? Did the silver get into
only
the
at
80s?
73.
Yeah.
Silver got to 83. The same
Okay.
time gold got at 84. So
Okay. I'm just saying be careful with longs. Yeah, you may have a chance to buy a break cheaper, but you're right, K-Man. I still haven't given up, and I'm just thinking about your question, what would change it? And I could only, it would be the dollar, um, uh, getting stronger than I thought it was going to be, and it might be yields after this move is over, heading back up. So,
Yeah.
that's it. This
Um,
measures what, 420 in the 10-year? So we still have room to go.
yeah, I mean, it's still, as I've been saying already many times, for me, 420 is about neutral.
Yeah,
For it's not down to the 1 basis point. It's 415, 430 maybe. Is sort of about neutral. So we're still, I think, correcting the phase where the market went, oh hell, tariffs, and but now
yeah,
coming back a little bit. The danger timing will be end of this month, beginning of
yeah,
February, because
yeah.
the tariffs have been delayed.
March. Yeah,
That is also the timing where Trump may potentially say something about Europe. Also, if he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed, so that's I think it's all about timing now. And to be honest, barring an algo move, I don't think unless we get like really out of whack data today, and especially I would say the surprise would be a weak one, a real weak one, because we're still getting data from before Trump's inauguration.
yeah.
So all those measures that have been put in place afterwards are likely not going to show up in today's data. But if we would get, and that's why I call this surprise a very weak one, then we could have an accelerated move back down to 424, 425
Yeah.
or so. Yeah.
Okay, so K-Man brought up you know, risk. So, this is the way I see it now, this formation in S&Ps. So that if you go along with that narrative before tariffs and that kind of negative news could be released, there's a 2-3 week window, right? So
Mhm.
are we going to break out in
I
S&Ps?
think.
It's kind of a descending triangle. Which way are we coming out of here? And NASDAQ has kind of a symmetrical triangle that it's threatening right now.
Mm.
I would say if the market's going to make hay and make a new high, um, where you have the dollar, you have yields coming relenting and the dollar relenting, that these should be the tailwinds to take it there. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, and especially thinking about this 2, 3 weeks window, you still have to put your money to work in the meantime, right? So, are you putting it to work to be short? I don't think so.
No, you're not. But in trading, sometimes when you're looking for inflection points, you're not trading every day, and sometimes you are
Yeah,
sitting on your hands for that inflection point.
yeah, 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 and time. If you sit on your hands, you wait for the timing to uh
Yeah,
to do something. Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I don't want to buy it here,
Mm.
but I'll let it run if it wants to. Here's they took out another Mag 7 stock last night. Wasn't it Amazon?
Amazon.
Yeah, let's see how they finish the after hours. Yeah, see. So you've had Amazon. We already know about Apple. Meta still trying, but look at massive divergence. Google, they got to the other day. Netflix is still heading up that way. Microsoft has already been killed. And Nvidia is fighting its way back, but still $24 off the high. So not many of the Mag 7s are doing well.
Yeah, and Coach, the Amazon, because of guidance, Amazon's down quite a bit this morning. But the only thing that, in my opinion, that saved Amazon last night was that its cloud numbers weren't as bad
Okay.
as what we saw with Google, because Google got smoked on its cloud service data, and everybody was worried that Amazon was going to show some of the same. And
Yeah.
like I said, that's the only thing that, in my opinion, is the reason why Amazon's not down
Even
8%
more.
this morning. Yeah.
So anyway, that's 1, 2, can't count Meta, 3, 4, 5 out of 7 now.
Yeah, they're starting to show some weakness, Dale.
Yeah. So I hope they do blow the new highs. We get a new high because what's acting weak now, if you get failing rallies and you know, like the mag 7, while the S&P is taking out the high, that's game on for me.
Yeah. Well, do you mind if I take over?
No,
We can prep for some
I'm tired. You
currencies
know
here?
what, Blake? I am tired of hearing myself.
All right, you gotta allow me to take the screen. Kind of
there you go.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right, guys. So thanks, Dale, and thanks, Ryan and K-Man. I'm going to bring you guys back in here in just a second. What I want to talk about is something that we were just discussing in the Forex Analytics chat room a little while ago. And Grega, he's not here this morning, but he popped in and he put up this chart here. These are all the conversations.
He's here.
Oh, Greg is here. Okay, well, Grega.
Hey.
I didn't see him that he was here. Grega, good morning.
Good morning, man.
Hey, okay. So this is your euro dollar chart. Now, you guys, I'm gonna have an issue with this chart.
No.
Okay. Well, here's my issue. All right. For those of you that don't know, whenever I look at head and shoulder patterns, which that's what you're looking at right now, and this is just so everybody can see it. I'll draw it out for you on my chart here. This is your shoulder. Whoops, no. Let me take that back. Your shoulder would be something like this. Here's your head. Here's your shoulder. Something like this. This is what you're looking at, right?
Yeah.
Problem that I have, and this is my old school technical analysis. Read it from the Bible. When I don't have an arm to complete. Like there's no arm up here, I have an issue with it. But that doesn't mean that it won't work. And it doesn't mean that we can't break out to the upside. And so when you post this chart right here, I see what you're looking at for a breakout. And I have to agree that the euro has had very shallow pullbacks. So has, the Aussie, the Kiwi. Sterling, obviously the Bank of England had its issue, had its weight on sterling. But the dollar Canadian bounces have been shallow. So I can't argue with the fact that the dollar is coming into this number extremely weak. And I have to, and this is the conversation we were having here in the chat room, and you could see the conversations that we've had regarding this with K-Man and Ryan and myself and everybody else jumping in. I think the market's looking and leaning into a weak dollar right now. And that's obvious when you have such shallow pullbacks. Everybody's expecting the data to be weak. But I'm not fully convinced yet that we're going to start seeing these this labor market roll over just yet. But let me ask you this. So you're looking for a euro potential breakout, and I'm assuming your breakout level is going to be right here. And here I'll pull up your charts on Forex Analytics. Let's go to the Elliott Wave charts, and you're looking for a move higher in the euro at this point. So tell us what else you might be looking at for dollar weakness here.
Well, actually, if we'll take a look on the US yields, the US yields are much lower compared to dollar index. So I'm thinking that US yields or treasuries in general are showing us that dollar might have been moving into very strong resistance. So I still don't believe that rates will go much higher. I think we will either stay sideways or move even lower. So based on that scenario, I just assume that sooner or later dollar will reverse to the downside. Maybe we'll see. Maybe you get right. You have right with US jobs data today. Maybe we will not get that weak number just yet. But still, I think that sooner or later dollar will start to focus once the number is out on some other stuff regarding Trump and everything else. As we said that. Also, Trump repeated this week that they will keep drilling crude oil, that production will increase, and he said that everything else will follow to the downside. So we know in which direction he's pointing for, and I still think that sooner or later this will be visible on the markets with dollar weakness coming through.
Yeah, and I'm just with everything you said, especially about yields. This is the 10-year, the notes market, and this is obviously going to be the inverse of yields. I'm looking for a breakout above the 618, and if we crack that, then this full on inverted head and shoulder pattern, you're going to see that market move. This would reference or reflect in the TLT that Dale's been talking about all week as well. And, as the bullish reversal. And the fact of the matter is the market is very well positioned, very, very heavily positioned, short bonds, short treasuries, long dollars, and long Mag 7. I mean, those are the three biggest positions in the market right now that are going to be easiest to unwind, especially if we see weak US data today. So I can't argue any of that. I still think that the euro, as you were pointing out, the euro or the dollar, it still looks like we could see some dollar weakness. But here's the counter argument, and this is something that I think we need to discuss today as well. I'm like I said, I'm not 100% positive we're going to have weak data. I still think there's a Trump bump in the market. I think the government jobs that are being cut / negotiated, early retirements being taken, those numbers are going to start to weigh on the jobs front and labor data in months to come. It's starting now, and it's gonna be as we head into summer, but I just don't know if this is the month that we're going to get it. Therefore, what happens if we get strong US data, and where are you guys going to play? Because here's what I'm thinking right now. Like, the dollar Swiss has been one of the best performing dollar pairs out there, and you can see it clearly reflected every day. Every morning with our Forex Analytix group, we develop the bias chart. We do it every day, and you can see one of the best performing dollar pairs right now is the Swissy. Now you can see that the dollar yen and the dollar Canadian have flipped to bearish this week, but the dollar Swiss hasn't been not bearish. It's been bullish like literally the entire time. And you can see we're in this really strong bullish trend. Now, I would argue that we're, could be developing a major double top, but look at how strong the dollar Swiss is into this data. Unlike, the euro, unlike the Aussie, and we're right at the 38% retracement. Hell, if we get a 200,000 print in the headline number, and let's say the unemployment rate drops for some unexpected reason, this dollar Swiss is going to be trading literally, we're going to be trading right up towards the 91.50, maybe even 92 cent level again. So I just wanted to point out some currencies that are actually acting decently. So let's go around the horn, and let me ask Ryan. Ryan, how are you looking to play this? Like, if you get good data or you get bad data, how are you going to play non-farm payrolls today?
I'm looking at dollar CAD.
Okay.
For this one, because
why? Because that's a really bullish weekly candle that we have. I'm being sarcastic. That is the biggest, nastiest, ugliest, bearish engulfing candle. So you've got your eyes on the dollar CAD. What are you going to do here?
Yeah, we've had the really, really solid hold of that 142, 60, 70 area on Wednesday, and that was while yields were breaking below 450 and dollar yen was going and all the other pairs were going. It was really holding solid there. So I'm going to keep an eye on that one. If it's bad US data, good Canadian data, there's a risk of a break, but I'll watch to see if that break holds or if it's just a stop run, data run, and then we're back above pretty quickly. But moving forward, if we finished a week above that 42.60 level, I'm going to start parking some buy stops, some sell stops below that level, because if we do break it naturally, I think it's got some legs to 142 at least.
Gotcha. All right. K-Man, what are you thinking today? How are you going to play this? Good data, bad data. How are you going to do it?
Yeah, first of all, I want to tell that next time I'll shut up about the dollar yen. Because
You called it yesterday. You
no,
did.
well, I mean, unfortunately, yesterday I said I was hoping dollar yen not to be trading 152, the figure going into the data, and look
And we
where we
are.
are. Yeah, I think any rally up to 53, 3.5 on the dollar yen, even with Ishiba around, should find some sellers. But the two that I'm going to really be watching very closely in case we get a disappointing US jobs report is Aussie dollar 63, 3.25, Kiwi dollar 57, 57.25. If those two manage to break up, I think we are going to have further to run.
And just with that being said, I mean, we're kind of we know what we're getting with Trump right now in China, at least as of right now. 10% tariffs, and the Aussies like shrugged its shoulders and is like, yeah, whatever. It's not a big deal. But
and I think and then I think if you're asking a strong number, I think on a strong number we've got to be a bit careful with euro dollar because we could drop relatively fast again. That's on a real good number. But again, my feeling is, or my thought is, that it's still a data point from before Trump's inauguration and new stuff being put in place. So is the market not going to just brush it off the table, whatever the number is?
Yeah, and Dale, I'm gonna ask your opinion here in 1 second. But I just want to point out this dollar yen because K-Man was talking about it. This is obviously, if you go to the weekly chart, this 152 level is such a huge level. I do believe if we close above or below it, and especially if we close below it, it's a big deal. I think this is going to be a huge pivot, as you can see multiple times over the course of the last couple of years. It's just such a big level to be watching today. Dale, so what are you thinking as I'm going to get our charts ready here?
I think the end's going to 140 and then 120 this year.
140, then 120 this year. Okay, all right. So you're up to
need a big miss on NFP for that, Dale.
Huh?
You're going to need a big miss today on NFP, a minus.
Well, 10,000. I want to, but I'm not. I'm not short right now. It's all rally back to the breakdown, but those are longer term targets for me. As far as today, I'm going to sell dollar strength. I'm a buyer in euro at the 103 level, and I'm a buyer in Aussie halfway back. I'm already short the dollar, long cable, so I want to diversify a little bit.
All right, we got about a minute. Grega, any last minute thoughts before this data comes out? I'm going to grab the data flash off.
Yes, I absolutely agree with dollar Swiss, as you mentioned. If dollar would remain strong after that data and then through the US session, then maybe next week looking for dollar Swiss to finally attack this May 2024 highs, or April of that year. Yes, that's still level that hasn't been retested, so there can be a lot of stops up there. And we have also CNB that maybe Cayman will know more about that they are looking possibly even have an open door for negative rates, and definitely then this pair has room for more strength here.
All right, guys, we have less than 15 seconds to go. Data is about ready to come out, and I'm coming in flat as a pancake because I am going to react today. To the left, we have the dollar index. In the middle, we have yields, 10-year yields. We have the S&P reaction on the right, and you can see all the data flash off of Forex Analytix. Here we go.
143.
143, but unemployment rate is an impressive 4%. So the dollar is weakening, but I don't know if I'd trust that. I think you're going to get a dollar reversal. We are seeing that right now.
Decent Canada as well.
Decent Canada report.
4.1%.
All right. Well, how are we going to play this, guys? I mean, I see the dollar is completely flip-flopped around here, and I don't know how I want to play it. Euro's about ready to crack 103. Again, the unemployment rate is what the market's playing right now. So
and those wages up at back up to 4%, 4.1%. We're expected to drop to 3.8%. We can't shake that 4% level. So I'll take this number as strong.
And you know what I'm going to do right now, because I know we're so close, is I'm going to buy some euro right here in the 50s. I just bought some in the 50s actually, and I'm going to just give it a little bit of 10 pip risk, and I'm not going to risk a whole lot. So I just picked up the euro at 57. Actually, I got a shitty fill, unfortunately. I
Hey,
got it at
Blake,
6.
can you, when I made you host, I can't promote our guest today. His name is Scott
Okay,
Yarbrough, if you
let
could
me
do that
find them.
before you go.
Great. Scott, what's his name? Oh, got him.
Yarbrough.
All right.
Yep. Thank you,
Scott,
buddy.
look for an invitation here. So what do you got, K-Man? What are you gonna do? Ryan, what are you gonna do before we go? Because I'm not trading very aggressively right now. So
It's strong. It's strong. I mean, even the revision to last month got revised from 256 to 307.
okay,
There's
all right.
nothing weak here, despite
Nothing
that
weak.
headline.
So the dollar, and damn it, I don't know where I pulled. I got rid of my data flash. I didn't mean to. So really, we got ultimately some very strong data to play into. You got the dollar yen that's pushing towards 152.30s. I don't know if I really want to sell that. The euro's still holding above 103.50. And yeah, I mean, you can look at the data here. That unemployment rate, I mean, that's a decent number. And so the market, the S&P is coming down. Obviously, it's starting to think, hey, wait a second. And by the way, I think I'm gonna get out of my euro here in just a second. I'll just take my 10 pip loss and move along here in a second. But the market's thinking, hey, we might have higher rates for longer, and stocks aren't really liking it that much. Yeah. K-Man, you want to answer or address any more questions or make any more comments before we go?
No, not really. Just that the Canadian report is quite strong. So I'm desperately seeing that somebody notices the strength in the rest of the dollars to put the CAD a little higher. But no, for the rest, I'm going to stay away from it. No, it is strong, but I can't shake the feeling that this is an old set of data and new ones are to come.
Yeah, so everybody's going to be thinking, "Hey, wait a second. This is not necessarily what we should be trading right now." And I'll tell you what, this dollar Canadian can't get out of its own way, and that is a little crazy right now. But Dale, I'm gonna say this. Thank you for this whole week. You've been awesome. Ryan, K-Man, Grega. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for prepping us every day on the Flow Show. If you guys aren't catching Ryan and K-Man every day on the Flow Show, Ryan's not even feeling well and he's here today. So thank you guys. And Grega, thank you for popping in here today. We do appreciate it. And I'm going to be seeing you guys in about 45 minutes on the Morning Edge. Remember, if you guys want to take advantage of this massive volatility that we're seeing, I even had my brother-in-law texting me yesterday, asking me about how the currency volatility has been. Take advantage of the trader funding program. You want to learn how to get funded as a trader? You could take a one-step assessment. If you're not in the US, you can get instant funding. So check out the trader funding program that gets you into the Forex Analytics community as well. Dale, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Dream Team. Thank you, Blake. I think we did our job really Monday morning talking about the potential of the dollar peaking on that news and then the big reversal. That was probably the trade of the week unless you bought that huge gap lower opening in S&Ps. So thanks for all the insights, team. Thank you very much, Ryan. Get some
Thanks,
rest,
mate.
buddy.
Yeah,
Get
and
some
thanks to
rest
you
and
for leading us all. You are our shepherd, and we are your
uh,
flock.
okay, well, I'm going to break your leg and carry you around for a while, so you have to depend on me.
Get the flock out of here.
Huh? K-Man, thank you, and Blake, as always,
Thank you, Dale.
good stuff all around. I think we do a great job for people for free. Anyway, I have a guest today. I'm kind of old now, so my memory's not as great, but Scott told me that I had interviewed him before, and he's been working on Gann stuff for a while, and I caught a tweet. He's Baby Yoda on X, and Very nice to meet you. Nice to meet you today, Scott. Thanks for coming in. And
Hi,
you want to
Dale.
tell that I don't remember how many years ago could that have been when you
That
and
was
I.
in 2015 when I published my book, The New Ice Age, The Truth About Climate
Oh
Change.
my God! Now I remember you. Well,
Uh-huh.
okay, yeah, I remember that interview. You still a believer in that, and that's what's happening in what we're getting snow in Florida this winter?
Well, and that's where I live. So it was
Okay,
really, really cold here about 10 days
yeah.
ago. But
So
what happened?
are we flipping with the magnetic poles and stuff? Will that have anything to
I
do with
think
it?
that's already happened. That's what
Yeah,
they're saying.
yeah.
But
All
just an
right, let's.
update on the book and what's
y-
happened. 2019 was supposed to be there. When I wrote the book and did the research, there's very little research in terms of long-term weather forecasting. It really doesn't, there's not much out there. And the only three things I could find were for NASA forecasts, which have been wrong, the British Royal Observatory, which has been wrong, and the Russian scientists who do something called total solar irradiance. And everything should have gotten cold a little while ago, which it did. The upper atmosphere has been very cold. It still is. In fact, somebody just published a chart a little while ago or a couple of days ago about the temperatures are like 20 degrees centigrade below where the normal levels are at the North Pole right now. So
Uh,
it's cold up there. The problem is, I think what happened was that some of the warming that we've had kind of muted the coldness we should have had in 2019, 2020. But more importantly, is that the Russians are going to be right. The Russians' total solar irradiance. Now, this is a hoot. Back when I wrote the book, NASA said nothing about total solar irradiance. Now they're parading it around like they're the ones that created it, and it was the Russian scientists.
okay,
And that
and
forecast,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
I
go
was,
ahead.
I was just going to say the Russian forecast is that we should be cold all the way to about 2045, maybe 2050. And so it's just starting. Sunspot
Okay,
cycle 25 peaks this year in July. And from there, it's pretty much straight downhill.
okay.
Um,
All right.
so
So we're
got to
seeing the
get to it.
sun with their last hurrah. It's been very active, the sun. Anyway, I know that our audience is interested in making money. They're not like you and I want to look at the macro, and we're fascinated by, maybe that global warming could be is, just they could be wrong. So why don't you tell us what kind of journey you've been on to start trading and how you decided Gann was the way? And were you self-taught on this, Scott, or did you have any mentors that helped you with Gann? Because it's pretty esoteric.
Well, I'll just give you the history. Um, I'm in my 52nd year of following the markets. Started in 1973. In 1974, I became Series 3 and Series 7 licensed. Went to work for EF Hutton, and I've been a market guy, ever since.
Yeah,
So I've studied a lot of the, Bear and Hurst,
yeah,
Gann, Wyckoff. I've read
yeah.
all these guys. I've studied astrology. I've done all these things. So more importantly than that is that in the last 6 months, I've discovered something that I think is really what Gann was trying to talk about. In 1908, Gann talked about his master time factor, which he said was his greatest discovery of all these things. And what happened was, and I believe, is that somewhere after that, Tesla and W.D. Gann were contemporaries. And I think
Okay.
Gann got some information from Tesla. He never talked about it, but in his book, Tunnel Through the Air, there's a lot of electronic things and communications and brand new technology that was never out there. And I think that was all from
Tesla.
influenced by
Huh.
Tesla.
Yeah.
And so um, and later on, he started talking about what we call the law of vibration, which you know, if you read my favorite Tesla quote, which is, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think about things in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And so I went down that path because I've been down all the rest of them.
Okay.
And what I found is that there is a energy that kind of courses through our
Markets.
society, through Earth, whatever. And
Mhm.
that what I found out was it's measurable. Now, because I don't have a chart up here, I'm just gonna
You
all you
could
guys
though.
out
You
there.
you could share if you scroll your mouse to the bottom of the page, you'll see a green button icon that says share, and you'll be able to share your screen.
Huh. Well,
Do you see it?
I do not. I've got a couple of windows open. I'm not sure which one it is.
Okay,
But,
well, I'm talking about the Zoom window, and
yeah.
it's at the bottom of the screen. You'll see things like Q&A, raise hand, chat,
Let's see.
share.
Return to meeting, join, share screen,
Share
schedule.
screen, there you go.
But it's grayed out, so I don't know why that is. Anyways, I
All
can
right,
just tell you.
okay,
Everybody get a pencil and a piece of paper because I want to give you some dates. I'm going to give you what the last dates are and a couple more that are coming.
okay.
Those dates are, in this year, were January 7th, the 13th, January 24th, January 31st. Now, the next one is today. Today is a change in trend date. And although we're kind of moving up into it, so it would tell me that likely we're making a high today.
And
So
what,
what would
you're talking stock indexes now?
right now, what I found and I trade puts and calls and futures, and so I'm more interested in the stock market's my main thing. I also
Okay,
follow the dollar because I think it's just something good to keep an eye on. And what I also found out was that when I got these dates and I started looking around, they work with Bitcoin, they work with the dollar, they work with crude oil, and that's about as far as I've gone. But like I say, what I do is really more the stock market. There's just a lot of stuff to trade there. So um, anyways,
uh,
today is
uh,
a change in trend date. Whether this is an acceleration up or we make a top today, and that's this
well,
the way these things.
that's two quite different scenarios. So we won't know until the day's over.
Well, but likely. Actually, the trickiest way this thing works is when it goes sideways into the change of trend date, because then
Yeah,
you don't know whether you know what it's doing. So, but we may rally up here. I personally think that we're in a correction that started a while ago and that it's not over yet. And it probably won't be over for a couple more months, and that we may end up with possibly a 15% correction in that neighborhood, maybe a little bit more, because you really never know.
yeah.
So,
Okay. So the
but
highs
so
are in. So you're wrong. So you would take a signal like you're having today, and let me share my screen. Okay. So S&P's the poison that you trade.
yeah, exactly.
S&P's.
One that gives me the best results.
Okay. So here we are. So today's a day. Do you sell it, and how do you define your risk? Is it over the high of the move? Um, do you
Well,
wait for
one
the
of the things that I
close?
do to make a trade is
Hmm.
I have developed over a long time two or three oscillators that are pretty darn good. The other thing is that I have to say is that most of my trading is pretty short term, 3 days to 7 days.
Okay.
Um, my history shows me that the longer you try to forecast something, generally, the more dangerous that is. And not only that, but once you put together kind of a long-term forecast, it gets embedded in your subconscious, and now you're biased. So I personally prefer trading what I call segments. And that's where I get now with what the change of trends are, is I'll just trade those change of trends and I'll take 3, 4, 5 days, whatever it is, take the money and run and wait for the next setup. They come about 4 to 6 a month. So there's
Mhm.
plenty of time to trade.
Right.
You don't have to rush it. And the ideal setup is where the oscillators are peaking and the market's moved up into that time frame, which looks like that's what it's happening today. So I've been looking at this data as it's probably a high. And if you look at your RSI there, which is really
Yeah,
long
right.
for me, but that's up at the top too. So, and actually, we've actually based on that 4-hour chart there, you've got an outside bar there
Right.
happening in the last thing. So, I'm thinking we're going lower here and that we're going to be lower all the way into April. And at which point in time, that will be a wonderful
Buying opportunity in the spring. There will be growth in the spring. Is that when the Fed gets more active to support the market? And let me ask you, I know you do short-term stuff. You ever look at the long
big
term, like the
and longer.
dollar? Like the dollar, do you believe that, the top that started in January 13th, which was a date that you mentioned, that was near
Yep.
the peak of the dollar, and then what we had Sunday night on tariff announcements, that a long-term top is in for the dollar?
Well, I don't listen to news. I strictly work on
Well, I
charts.
didn't ask you about if you listen
Okay.
to news.
Well, my feeling is that the dollar's probably, the dollar is a tricky thing. Sometimes it acts like the stock market does, and sometimes it
Yeah,
acts the reverse. I think in some cases the dollar's kind of like gold or Bitcoin. It's a bit of a safe haven. And when you watch markets roll over and go down, a lot of times the dollar goes up because money's flowing out of those equity funds that are coming out, and it goes into the dollar. It's like a short-term place to hide. And
uh-huh.
so that's what makes, in my opinion, the dollar tricky, is that it's a kind of a two-faced animal. And and so again, this is why, I studied a lot of technical, and I actually, this is something I did 3 years ago. There was reported that about 80 to 90% of all the activity in the market was based on computers. Okay.
Right.
So I thought, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse engineer the market. So I basically, what I did was I said, okay, if they're going to do this, how are they going to do it? Well, there's only so many indicators and things that you can use. I mean, you go up, down, or sideways. That's all you got. So
Okay.
I developed a short-term trading system based on technical analysis, and I've done very well with it. And so now what I do is I kind of use those same metrics to determine whether we're making a high or a low. And so anyways, technical analysis has always been a part of what I do. So
Yeah,
um
I did you used to carry around the commodity perspective and get coffee stain
yeah, where you'd
and
have to update the charts
yeah,
manually.
and that you would get coffee stains, and you could tell what restaurant you've been at by what you spilled on your chart
Yes,
book. And you know what a
exactly.
friend of mine said when I was wrong? I always had my chart book, well, not always, but when I spent a lot of time uh, with that book. And if I was wrong on a few things, he would say, "Hey, Dale, why don't you just turn your charts upside down?" So I'd
Well,
be the right way, like George Costanza, do the opposite, fade myself.
there's my
Anyway, here
chart. You got my
yeah,
chart on there. You can see those vertical lines are where the
yeah,
change in trends are. Those are where
yeah,
the pivot CITs are.
right,
Um,
okay.
and damn it, man, they work really good, as you can see.
What
Um,
do why don't we do this? What do the different colors mean of the
Actually,
vertical lines?
different colors are different frequencies.
Okay,
And actually, what I have found this is all within 3 or 4 months. You got to remember too, Dale, that what I
yeah,
have found, what I believe is the correct analysis of Gann's law of vibration. And so what I'm also finding out now is that the frequencies really don't make any difference. It's just a change of trend, and I thought maybe at some point in time, because there are lower and higher frequencies, that maybe it would make a difference in the strength, but it doesn't appear that it does. It's just you
Okay.
get a turn on those days. So yeah, that's what I do right there. That's what's on my website. That's what I do. And man, it's the most exciting thing in 52 years in the markets that I've ever seen.
All right, well,
So
that's a statement in itself from a guy who's really been on quite a journey. So,
I'm older than dirt, Dale.
well, we're well, then we're both dirt. Anyway, so this is the best way for people to get a hold of you because you need to change your handle. It's too hard to write down your phone number plus your name. Simplify it for people. Just advice.
I hear you.
So here we are, GannTiming.com. So any specials for people that have seen you on Face today? You want to offer a code up or something?
Well, I don't have anything set up
Oh,
like that, but
total.
as you can
Okay, so
see,
what
I
is
charge
this 1 month?
$27 a month, which is
Yeah,
anybody can afford.
very reasonable.
And
Okay.
so then that's the reason I do it. I'm hoping I can get through to people that have been struggling or that maybe, could use some help and that this will help make them some money. That's kind of the whole idea here. I mean, I'm trying to give back. I've been doing this a long time and I found this and I want to share it. So, but I got to make a living too. So,
Okay. Well,
it's
I wish you a lot of success and hopefully, people that have an interest in Gann and want to learn about, what you went through to come up with this. It wasn't easy. Someone who's been in the business for 5 decades, is definitely a warrior. So you are now my trading warrior brother, Scott.
Thank you, Dale. And I'm with, like you, I'm with Jesus. And so that's a good thing and a big part of
Okay.
my life.
All
Um,
right.
but to
Well,
go back
well,
to
I was bar mitzvahed at 13 and baptized at 40, so I'm hedged.
now there's a true hedger.
All right, so that's my spiritual hedge. So, really, I'm glad you reached out. I look forward to staying in touch with you on X, Scott, and I hope you have a great year and your business grows like a mushroom.
Thank you, Dale. I appreciate your time, man.
All right, Scott Yarbrough, everyone. You're interested in Gann? Here's a mad scientist for you to follow and learn from. Okay. So that's going to be a wrap for me, everybody. I hope you had a good week. The break in the dollar from Sunday night was my best trade, and and a little silver short yesterday. Do you have a high doing the metals here, Scott? I saw you liked a tweet I put in
No,
there. No,
I
nothing.
don't, I've read some things a while back that, it's really good to pick one, something and stay with it and learn it and, feel
Yeah.
it and be part of it. And that's what I believe. I think
Okay.
this market's making a peak on this change of trend here today. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a bloody end of the day, but we'll see.
Okay.
Time will tell.
I'd actually like to see a blow off and a breakout and get this that this could be a 4 and that we're going to get a 5. And the reason why isn't because I want to be, that I want to be long. I think it's going to set up great counter trend shorts of stocks that have already peaked. So, I think you'll have a chance
You're
maybe to
right. There's a lot
short.
of the Mag Sevens are getting kicked in the teeth here, and
Yeah,
that's not going to end well. Like I say, I
yeah,
still think we're in a correction. I wouldn't
yeah,
be surprised 15%, maybe even
yeah.
20.
And
Um,
NASDAQ will be more if that's what you're looking for, the S&Ps. NASDAQ could be 30, 40% if that
there you
happens.
go, because it always is an
Yeah,
exaggerate.
All right, Scott. Well, you're now my trading warrior brother. I'll get back to you, and we'll keep you in the rotation. And
Sounds great, Dale.
And okay, so have a great weekend, Scott, and everyone else. Enjoy. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. And enjoy your weekend.
Take care, gentlemen.
All right, see everyone. Adios.
Adios, amigo.